Good morning. Good morning to each of you. I am Dr. Corrine Johnson, and I would like to welcome each of you on this morning to Grace for Today 5 Minute Devotional. And on this morning, our subject is going to be Jesus' last prayer. And our key scripture is going to be coming from Matthew 26, verses 38 through 39 and 42. And it says, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." Going a little farther, Jesus fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." And so, if you knew for certainty that you were going to die tomorrow, what would your prayers look like tonight? What would your prayers look like before you go to bed tonight if you knew that you were going to die tomorrow? On the last night of Jesus's death before the cross, Jesus knew what was going to happen. He already knew that he was going to be crucified. He knew that he was going to die. And so the Father's plan to save humanity would be fulfilled. The journey to the cross would involve betrayal, ridicule, torture, loneliness, and then a slow death by suffocation, all while taking upon the sins of the world. Well, never understand, we will never understand the price that Jesus paid, but we know that he did. And he asked God to take it all away. Jesus prayed, "May this cup be taken from me." The cup represented the terror that awaited him during his final hours. Jesus also prayed, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." And so ultimately, Jesus was committed to obeying the Father. Jesus offered a prayer of absolute surrender. And so you can be honest about your feelings with God. He knows them anyway. We see Jesus here being very honest about his request to God. He asked him, "May this cup be taken from me." In other words, the pain that I'm getting ready to suffer, that what I must go through, can you take it away? And so this is letting us know that we can be honest about our feelings with God as well, because he knows anyway. And so you also need to surrender your life to him if you want his will to be done in your life. If God calls you to care for a sick member of your family, you need to not only be honest about your feelings, but also be obedient to his calling. When you know doing the right thing at work may cause you a career setback, you got to be honest about the injustice of the situation, but also be obedient to God. And so there are some bitter cups in our life that we're going to have to drink just as Jesus did. But the question I want to leave you with this morning is, are you ready to pray like Jesus did? Because if you knew that you were getting ready to die tomorrow, your prayer would be, "Lord, give me more time. Lord, I want to be here with my family. Lord, I want to do this. Lord, I want to do that." But Jesus asked one time. He said, "May this cup be taken from me." And then he says, he surrenders. He begins to surrender. He says, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." So are you ready to pray like Jesus? In that situation that you're dealing with right this very moment, are you ready to pray like Jesus and say, nevertheless, I don't want to go through this, but Lord, let your will be done. And so Jesus' last prayer, let it be an example for us on this morning that when we are faced with some bitter cups that we don't want to drink, we got to begin to surrender our will and say, not my will, but your will be done. And so on this morning, we certainly thank God for each of you for tuning in and joining with us for Grace for Today 5-minute devotional. And it is my prayer that as you go forth on today, that you will go forth and have a blessed day.